So this is a discussion that I want to have with the dads. Listen, if you see a dad somewhere, somehow, grab him, bring his attention to this video. Why do I want to talk to the dads? You'll understand in a second. But dads, we have a problem. You want to take care of your children. In fact, you do take care of your children, and your desire is, if you were to pass away and these kids are still incapable of taking care of themselves, that you should continue to do so via your estate and every other benefit you probably have. But now the problem is your families refuse to recognize the very same children you introduced to them. Your families suddenly see noses that don't look like theirs in these kids. Your families suddenly have amnesia about each and everything or every aspect pertaining to these kids, meaning or leading to these kids not getting access to the necessary benefits that you would have wanted them to. So we're going to solve this. And in fact, you're going to take the necessary steps. Sorry for pointing at you, but you're going to take the necessary steps, right? And you're going to ensure that your kids are not subject to the same thing that any and every other child has been subject to by certain families. So without further ado, my name is Yolanda Nyengeza. I'm an attorney by profession and I work in Johannesburg, South Africa. So let's not waste time. Let's get into it, right? So like I said, the family suddenly does not recognize the very same kids that you introduced to them. Children that sometimes would visit them. All of a sudden, everybody's like, no, we don't trust that these kids are that of our brother. This is a problem. Why? Because everything and anything relating to inheritance has everything to do with blood. So if they eliminate those children or bring disrepute to the DNA of those kids, it means that those kids are at risk of not getting what is due to them. So we do not want that to happen, right? So you're going to protect their interests first and foremost by establishing a clear relationship, right, with those children. You are acknowledging them using certain things so that when that time comes, they have no opportunity to try this. They have no opportunity to play this game. First and foremost, how you're going to do this is you're going to draft a will. Yes, you're going to draft a will specifically naming them and providing for your children. My son is going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My son Jacob, my son Dando, you're going to specifically name them so that by the time they try it, that document hits them hard because you've acknowledged those kids, whether they have a small nose or a nose that doesn't fit in that family. And the second thing that you're going to do to establish this paternity and this unwavering doubt, you are going to have a DNA test done, and you're going to have it amongst the documents you have. Now, this is obviously something that can turn controversial if you were to request it sometimes from the other co-parent. So you're going to have to try and sit them down and make them understand why maybe you want to do this, right? Just in case the situation of the will fails, at least there is this undisputed fact that that child is yours, so that the family doesn't try any tricks that could lead to that child not getting what is due to them. Then once you have this, you're going to place it amongst the documents that you're going to save for when something happens to you. If needs be, give a copy to the co-parent to keep of that DNA test. And thirdly, to even make it difficult for anyone to try any shenanigans here, you're going to register your children for some of the work benefits you have, right? If you don't want to give it all to them, that's fine, but at least have their names written down there, because you know what happens? If your children are specifically named in those death benefits at work, nobody's going to want to deal with anybody else but the mother of those children that you have named, because they are best to take care of the interests of their own children. So you see what's happening here? You're ensuring that nobody has the chance to dispute the paternity of those kids and to take what is due to those children. And you're going to ensure that you're going to provide for those kids even after your death. So this is going to show that you are a very good dad. So now that you have established, have come up with this formidable proof that you acknowledge those children, what's the next step? Now, the next step is for you to now draft this will. Now, there are things that I want you to consider when you're going to go draft this will. And I want you to ensure that your will is not discretionary. Do not give people a discretion to deal with things anyhow when you die. Make it a point that it is clear and concise. So what are you considering here? One, the age of those kids. You're dealing with a 17-year-old, you're dealing with a 1-year-old, that's a difference, right? You're considering that first and foremost. Secondly, you're considering the other co-parent. To what extent can they provide for those kids, right? Because sometimes you could be co-parenting with the actual parent. Sometimes you're going to be co-parenting with the maternal grandmother who does not have the capabilities. So you have to think about these things. And thirdly, you're going to think about what kind of provision these kids need. What type of schools do they go to? What type of environments are they exposed to? And right now, what type of support are you providing to each of them? Because sometimes it totally differs for so many reasons, right? So if you're going to make provision, you're going to consider these things. Sometimes you may want to rectify a death because if something happens to you, that one will just suffer. So you're considering all of these things. And thereafter, you're going to have certain terms you discuss now with the person who's drafting your wills, or rather your will. You're asking them, okay, I'm thinking so-and-so should get this in this manner, so-and-so should get that in this manner, and this is what should happen, etc., etc. And you're expecting that the practitioner is now going to jump in and say, maybe that's not a good idea, why not consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have to be pedantic. These are your children. These are your golden children. They must never suffer, especially if you're playing a huge role in their lives during your existence. So now, once you've gotten an idea as to how you want to leave your things, the next thing I want you to consider is a testamentary trust. Why am I saying consider a testamentary trust? First and foremost, what is a testamentary trust? So this is a trust that comes into operation after your death. It's going to house the things that you are leaving to your minor children. And these things are going to be given, or these benefits are going to be given to these children based on your strict terms and conditions. You're going to write them down. In fact, you're going to discuss them with your practitioner. They're going to write them down, but it's terms that you would have come up with. Why? First and foremost, you want these kids to access this money. You don't want to just say, I'm giving this and that to so-and-so. The next thing, they don't get access to it because it has to go to another institution because the child is under 18. You want the child to access it right now when they are still young. And secondly, you don't only just want them to access it, you want them to access it at a certain pace. Because if they happen to access it now, once off, in a huge sense, it just might be squandered. And by the time they have to, be raised going forward, they'll not have enough. So right now, you're paying, for example, a certain amount on a month-to-month basis, 15,000, 5,000, whatever the case is, to help provide. So you want the same type of arrangement to be in place, not a matter of, there's a big amount, because it will not get anywhere for those kids. And they will suffer. And the other thing that you're looking at here is that the interests of these children be always protected. And a testamentary trust has that particular aspect, in that it ensures that the benefits of these beneficiaries are always protected and are given in the most stringent way. And this particular entity is governed, and there are people who can be held accountable if they do not follow due process. You see why I'm saying consider a testamentary trust? So, key role players in the things that I've talked about. I said you're going to do a will, protecting your children's interests. And in that will, I want you to establish a testamentary trust and then have terms, right? Once terms are established, there's two types of people you now need to think about who are going to be key role players here. You need to consider them very carefully. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the executor of your will. I'm also talking about the trustee or the trustees of your trust. The executor, what is their role? Remember, the executor is the person who ensures that your estate is wound up, is administered. So, which means they are the ones who ensure, if they are not a professional, that they get a professional to assist them with winding up your estate. They take control of your assets in the meantime before they are formally inherited by your children, because there's a process, right? So the kids are not just going to get access to everything, or the trust is not going to just have everything just like that. There's a process of winding up that needs to take place first. This process of winding up includes informing the master that you, as the dad, has passed away. It includes informing creditors that you've passed away. They need to come forward to ask for what is due to them, and so many other things that need to be done. During that process, the executor is the one who has control, who has power, who is a decision maker about the affairs of that estate. So this person you need to think about very carefully here. You need to talk to them. Let them not be surprised. Sister, I'm thinking of making you an executor, and I want you, and I'm trusting you to take care, to ensure that my children's interests are taken care of. And I want you to gauge your sister's attitude at that time. Are they for those kids or not? Because if you have doubts, remove them. You can name any other person or name an entity. It's up to you. But name someone who will want to protect the interests of those kids. Name someone who you know will respect you enough to want to do right by you. Someone who will want to ensure that your kids don't fail, and they have all of the resources they need and desire, and they know how you dealt with those kids. Then we go to the trustees of the trust, also critical human beings. They are the ones who ensure that the terms of that trust are fulfilled. The benefits get to the children. You would have either, i.e., said, every month a certain amount must go to the kids to take care of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the trustees must determine a specific amount that kids must get on a month-to-month basis, your kids that is, and you are expecting that trustee to be the one who's going to release those funds into the bank accounts of the mothers of those very same children so that this can happen. If school fee payments have to be made, they are going to be responsible for paying school fees. So these are also people you need to trust that they're going to be accountable, and they're going to have your children's interests at heart. Obviously, by law, they are required to act in accordance with the trust, but also it helps to have people who have those children's interests at heart. And you don't have to have the same set of people. It can be that one person that you trust and has certain knowledge, that one also who has the knowledge, and then they can then get a professional to assist them, etc., etc. That also allows for people not to easily enter into shenanigans. But you need to be very careful here. You need to think critically about these people because they're playing a critical role. And then the last thing, Dad, that I want you to think about is where you're going to place documents. Who's going to have access to the documents? Who's your next of kin? The documents also play a significant role. We have families hiding documents because they know that they're not going to benefit, and that often it works against the children, because now the baby mamas have to go up and down trying to gather these documents, and the family has them hidden somewhere. So who has access to your documents and how? This is also critical. Who's your next of kin? Who at least do you think is reliable and trustworthy? Obviously, we can't trust people 100%, but we need to gauge who's the best amongst the rest. At least I can, trust that so and so is going to provide these documents. Because remember, in those documents, you don't only have your ID document, you don't only have this will of yours, but you also have other critical documentation, i.e., we spoke about a DNA test. You might have it in between those documents. We spoke about, or normally we'd speak about documents that pertain to any benefit that you have. If you have life policies, you'd often, put them in this particular file that you have. So those types of documents that enable people to claim what is due to them that you had left as a benefit are going to be in that particular file. Who will access it? Because that person may just sabotage everything that you are trying to achieve here. For example, I've seen situations where the family will hide documents for a good 2-3 years away from the child because they saw that the child is the only beneficiary in everything. They saw in the life policy the child is the only person that exists. At the work benefits, the child is the only person that exists. Even in a will, the child is the only person that exists. And therefore, they frustrate the process only for them to release documents after 2-3 years, because now they have decided, you know what, it doesn't matter. And sometimes they use these documents to try and, you know what I'm saying. So just make it a point that whoever has access to these documents will be reasonable enough to provide them to the necessary people who need to do what needs to be done and to ensure that your children's interests are protected. Listen, dads, I have tried. This brings us to the end of our discussion today. I hope this information or this discussion prompts you to do something positive for your kids. I know you want to do it. Do it. Don't waste time. Don't be saying, I'll do it, I still have time. A lot of things happen. We've talked about this a lot of the times. Just have your affairs in order and know that, okay, I'm safe. Then I can relax. See you next time when we talk again. My name is Yolanda Nyengeza. I'm an attorney by profession practicing in Johannesburg, South Africa. We will see you next time.